The Walther PPQ Subcompact. Let's check it out. Now, with the number of concealed carry holders in the U.S. growing every day, there are a lot of options out on the market for a good concealed carry handgun. Something you can carry every day, something that can fit your needs. But one of the things that's been lacking to me is one of the top handguns, the Walther PPQ, has just released their subcompact model. And I'll tell you what, guys, the PPQ, the trigger on that thing is beautiful. And of course, the Walther workmanship, you know, is just excellent. As soon as I heard that they were coming out with a subcompact, I wanted one. And so I recently did a review on the 5-inch, which is the complete opposite, PPQ M1 from GunBuyer.com. And I said on the video I would love to review one of the subcompacts. And so they got in touch with me and said, hey, we'll send you one for a test and evaluation. And I said, send it. Because I love these little small pistols. It's great to have different options, and if you are a Walther PPQ guy, this is something definitely to take a look at. So we have the Walther PPQ, which stands for Police Pistol Quick Defense, and this is the Subcompact, which stands for SC. This is a 10-round magazine capacity. It's definitely a chopped down PPQ, but there are some differences with this pistol over the original, and we'll look at that, especially when we disassemble. Of course, first thing we're going to do is make sure the gun is unloaded. Just going to drop the magazine, and the chamber is empty. The 10-round magazine is steel. It has kind of a glossy finish to it, and then of course the polymer base plate with PPQ on the bottom, which, by the way, I like, because a lot of times you can't tell if you have a lot of different guns which magazine goes with which. But also included is a 15-round magazine as well, and this has the standard matte finish to it, but it has this sleeve that kind of fits over the top. So this allows for this gun to not only fit and give you a longer grip, but it also keeps you from over inserting the magazine. One thing about the Walther is that it does drop that magazine out very quickly. Now my hand keeps interfering because this grip is fairly short, which leads us to another question, is the size of this grip. Is it ergonomic? How does it fit in the hand? Well, it mainly gets these two fingers and then the heel back here. Now for me, my hands are about medium, so my pinky is actually barely touching the bottom. But if you have larger hands, you're going to have it hanging off the end. But that's one of the great things about having this extended magazine. Plus, Walther also offers one of the finger rests. It comes down just a little bit, so that makes it, you know, a lot more comfortable to shoot. But one thing that I've found, this is more psychological than anything, because really your pinky is just a support finger. The grip itself between these fingers and the heel of your hand is what gives you a really good grip on the pistol, and you can still get really accurate shots in this configuration. And one thing I wanted to bring out right away was the standard PPQ, and of course we're going to drop the magazine, check the chamber, and the gun is empty. But as you can see, it's pretty much just a chopped off PPQ, and here we see that there's pretty much some extension here, and then the slide extends, I would say, 3/4 of an inch. It's not that much of a difference from here, but the big thing is, as far as concealed carry goes, this is the area that is the hardest to conceal. And so it doesn't really matter about the longer barrel. I think that's one of the reasons why this gun looks a little more chopped off than you typically would see. Now, as far as the different configurations on the outside, everything is the same. But we're going to bring this back in when we look at the inside of the gun. But to me, one of the big competitors is the Glock 26, and it gives you more of a size comparison. And here we can see butt to butt, the PPQ SC does come out just a touch. And from the top of the slide to the bottom, the magazine sticks out just a little bit. So it is slightly larger than the standard Glock 26. As far as the way they feel, pretty much the same as far as where your fingers go. One of the things though about the PPQ, and there are two things about the PPQ that really make it stand out. First is the ergonomic grip. It is super ergonomic, and that's one of the things that Walther's done starting out with their P22 is make a very ergonomic grip. It really fits nice, the way the palm swells are fitted, the way it fits to your hand. In fact, I heard one guy, Graham Bates, say that it's like they took a piece of clay and you just wrapped your hand around it and that was the grip. And that's pretty much the way it feels. Now it has this cross pattern texturing. It's kind of like squiggly lines that run all through it. They are fairly aggressive, but a lot of people, in fact, I took my standard PPQ and I put Talon grips on it to give me just a little bit of a better purchase on it. But since I do a lot of reviews, I actually took those off so I could kind of show this texturing when I'm comparing it to other guns. Now there's also a second back strap. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. That's a little bit larger. And I think with this grip, even with hands that are not large, I think you're going to really like to have a little bit more extension. We're going to drop the mag again, and you can see this little small lip that comes out, kind of gives you a little more grip here, and then it comes out at the bottom, and that just allows for the base plate to kind of nestle in at the bottom of your grip. The mag release is the M2 style, and that's what most American shooters are used to. It's right here on the frame. Some of the original PPQs had the paddle mag release, which honestly I like because it is ambidextrous and it comes right here, and I can take my shooting finger and just hit it. But with this, with the PPQ SC, they've just retained that M2 mag release. They do shoot out very well, as you can see, and as long as you don't get your hand in the way. And of course, the trigger pull on the PPQ is world-renowned. One of the best triggers for a striker fire polymer frame pistol. Again, let's make sure the gun is unloaded. To test the trigger pull, there's some take up right here. It's just a little bit of resistance, but not a big deal. A wall, and then a beautiful snap. I mean, it is a nice snap. Exactly the same as the full-size PPQ. As far as reset, right there. In fact, it's like 1/10 of an inch. So, I mean, it is really quick. Right back to it. Let's check the trigger pull weight using the Lyman trigger gauge. Got this at Brownells. 4 pounds, 10.5 ounces. I got 10 pounds, 11 ounces earlier. The mag release is this button. Again, it's the M2 model. If you want to have the mag release on the right side for left-handed shooters, they actually provide a whole separate little mag button. And this little box is just kind of cool, really. But here's the mag release, and this is the one that goes on this side of the pistol. Now, of course, you have your trigger safety right here, and this has to be depressed for you to be able to pull the trigger. But there are two internal drop safeties, and there is a firing pin block safety. So there's 4 safeties on this handgun, but no frame safety. Now the slide is a carbon steel and it has a Tenifer finish. Glock originally used Tenifer finishes, but for some reason they changed it to a different type finish. But this is, it impregnates the metal, it keeps corrosion and wear down. And then you can see the serrations, which I love these serrations. They're tall, they go up all the way to the top of the slide, and they are aggressive. And when you grab hold of it, there's no doubt that you've got a hold of that slide serrations, being able to rack your slide. And then at the front, we have the serrations here as well with the Walther logo. And this is perfect for press checks. It does have 2 slots for a Picatinny rail for lights and lasers. It is M13 Picatinny size. And then we have serrations on the front of the trigger guard, which it is squared off, but it gives you a lot of room for gloved hands. And then again, you have your strap here. It does have a slight bump here for a finger groove. And then of course this hump, and then again with the extra back strap you're going to get a little bit larger. It has a nice beaver tail to be able to get up on the hand. One thing though about PPQs, they have a little bit of a higher bore axis. And to give you a comparison, we have the Glock, and you can see that it is considerably higher. The Glock has one of the lowest bore axes out on the market. but I didn't really feel like that the PPQ SC had that much more felt recoil than the G26. Now, Walther says that you need to use magazines marked PPQ SC if they're not the actual magazines that came with the gun. This magazine, even though it's not marked SC, obviously it's an SC magazine because it's only 10 rounds. But one of the reasons why is because the slide is lighter, and we're going to look at something that they've done in the internals of the slide to make it even lighter than just being shortened. And it has a faster cyclic rate, and because of that it needs a stronger spring and in the 15-round magazine, or even the 20-round magazine, if you're going to use those for your pistol. But also you need this sleeve to make sure that you don't over-insert your magazine. But those kits are available from Walther if you want extra magazines for the SC. It has a long slide release or slide stop, and it's ambidextrous on either side. Now, for some reason on the HK VP9, I typically have some issues by hitting the slide release inadvertently. But with the PPQ, for some reason, the way this fits and the way this comes down together, my thumb kind of naturally rests a little bit lower. So I don't have any problems when I'm shooting this. I have had no issues with the slide not holding back because I was hitting that slide stop. The sights, they are 3-dot, and they're very easy to see. One thing is they are polymer. Now, if you get the night sights, they are steel, and there's a number of different options out on the market. Same sights that go in your standard PPQ models will fit in the SC. The barrel length is 3.5 inches. The total length of the gun itself is 5.4 inches, and then it's 4.4 inches in height. The weight on the PPQ SC, 1 pound, 5.4 ounces. Glock G26, 1 pound, 5.6 ounces. Standard PPQ, 1 pound, 8.4 ounces. I want to thank Freedom Munitions for supplying the ammo. You get a 5% discount using SUCH00 on the Freedom Munitions website. Guys, Maglula, this is the deal. Now, I had read in a number of places, in fact I had seen Graham Bates' video where he was talking about the PPQ Subcompact and how it had less recoil than he expected. And one of the reasons why is because, of course, you know, Walther has done some things to mitigate the recoil because of the smaller size. It's just physics. You get a smaller gun with the same round, you're going to have more muzzle flip, you're going to have more recoil, felt recoil. What he said, though, is true. There is less recoil with this, definitely less than what I expected. It's just a smooth shooting gun. Now, when shooting it compared to the full-size Walther PPQ, you definitely had a little more muzzle flip. Definitely the sights jumped a little bit more, but for the size, it was very manageable. I mean, the recoil was very manageable, easy to get back on target, and I really enjoyed shooting it. Slight bit of muzzle rise difference, but not a lot. It's really surprising, the recoil with the Subcompact. It's very light. I have had some subcompacts that I brought down here that I did not enjoy shooting. I mean, after I finished, I was like, wow, you know, thank goodness that's over. But this was definitely a pleasure. You put the 15-round magazine in here, and it really feels good in the hand. Now we're going to disassemble the firearm. We're going to drop the magazine, check to make sure the gun is unloaded. Go ahead and pull the trigger, pull back on your slide, pull down on the takedown tabs, and then just push the slide right off. Take out our recoil spring and guide rod. It's a dual guide rod system which helps with recoil mitigation, but it's also a steel guide rod inside. Now, while there are a lot of similarities between the PPQ Standard and the PPQ SC, there are some pretty big differences inside the gun. One is we have a polymer guide rod with the flat spring, which typically mitigates recoil, but then again we have a metal guide rod, and this has the round coil springs. The barrel profiles are pretty close. There is a small difference here at the top where you have a witness hole for, you know, a loaded chamber. Here with the regular PPQ you don't have that, but you can see the difference in the barrel length right here. But in the slide is where we have most of our changes. The Walther SC Subcompact at the top, and then we have our standard Walther PPQ here at the bottom. One of the big differences in this area, and this is where most of the differences occur, is that we have an internal extractor right here. And it's actually marked 9mm, which denotes that there may be other calibers coming. Then here, with the standard PPQ, we have an external extractor. And so with the S, you just got a smooth slide. Right here, this bar, which is part of the striker, it's thinner but longer. And then here, of course, it's thicker and shorter. And then there's some differences right here with this little ramp or this built-up area where it is right here with the PPQ standard. Another big difference is your striker safety, which is right here. It's moved back on the SC. And then there's some differences right here at the back. But one of the biggest differences is that this is a steel piece that's actually milled into the slide, and here with the SC we have a plastic insert. One of the reasons for this, as far as what I think, is they've needed to lessen the weight somewhat to insert this plastic sleeve. And so that actually makes it lighter, it makes it faster as far as the slide reciprocating. So that's going to make a big difference. As far as strength, back here in the back is not really a problem as far as plastic parts. This should not be any kind of issue. But it is what it is. This is a plastic sleeve insert. And that's one of the reasons why we have a roll pin right here to hold in your plastic sleeve, which on the standard, the roll pin is not there. And that reduction of weight is going to make the SC just a cycle faster. And because of that, they've upped the spring system in the magazines. And so that's part of the reasons why that you need to use standard PPQ magazines in your standard PPQ and your SC magazines for the small SC. Another thing is at the front of the slide we have this cut on the SC on both sides that is absent on the standard. Now with the SC model on the left and your standard PPQ on the right, you can see that the back slide plates are different. But not only in appearance, but this is a metal backslide plate, whereas the standard PPQ has a polymer backslide plate. And so for reassembly, just drop in your barrel, recoil spring and guide rod, bring it back on your frame, and we're good to go. Now it comes in the nice Walther box, and of course you get your pistol. The 15 round magazine is already inserted so it'll fit correctly, and then of course you get your 10 round magazine and a magazine loader. Also your extra back strap, chamber indicator flag, and the right mag button. Also the lock and all the information. Now this pistol is pretty new, so there's not a lot of prices out there. I did see it in some places for about $565, but on the GunBuyer website they were running $509, which is a great price. All right, let's talk about a few of the pros and cons. First off, it is a smaller version. This is much easier to carry for concealed carry. You have a lighter slide, which is going to help with recoil mitigation. Just keeps it a lot more flat shooting, and of course with the double recoil spring it makes it nice. Your sights are interchangeable with your standard PPQ, and then of course you can use 15 round magazines and the sleeve comes with the gun. And another big plus though is to have that extension to where this is the same as shooting a standard PPQ. It's a 15 round magazine, you've got the same grip. And so if you want to take this to the range, it makes it much easier and more range friendly as far as recoil goes. The trigger and the PPQs are just fantastic, and the ergonomics are just great. So there's a lot of great features with this that just relate to the standard PPQ models. Now as far as cons go, first off is the magazine compatibility can be kind of different. Having to use the SC mags for your PPQ SC, you know, that could be a little bit of a challenge. And then as far as the plastic insert inside the top of the slide, which really helps with felt recoil, you know, that's definitely an unknown at this point. So we'll have to see how that goes. And then of course the grip, you know, it is short, it's small, but not any shorter than any of the other subcompacts of this same lineup. And I want to thank GunBuyer.com for sending the PPQ SC. You can get on their website. Great prices on guns. And guys, it's great when gun companies get behind the YouTube gun channels. And the PPQ SC is definitely a winner. And that's not just chicken dinner. I don't think that makes sense. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. great firearm. The glossy finish to it. Glock Gen 26 00 checkout. We had no problems with any kind, you know, with it trying to come. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about all that bull crap. The other thing with the PPQ, it's an external. Did I say external or did I say internal? And then there are some differences in this. Oops. Their size will belie the left. Okay.